Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. According to this blog article, year over year, there has been a whopping increase about 40% in data engineering job interviews. There is a clear demand in this space. I recently met Vaibhav Gupta, who is an Alteryx expert, and he has agreed to create a mini tutorial for people who want to begin their career in data engineering. If you do like this video, please click that like and subscribe button. That will help us a lot. And enjoy the video. Thank you. Welcome everybody. Welcome back to one more video from DigiBytes this week. This week we have Vaibhav Gupta. We interviewed Vaibhav Gupta approximately around 2-3 months back about what is Alteryx and how Alteryx can really help you guys. And this week we are going to do a special session with him. He recently cleared his Alteryx certification program. So first of all, congratulations to Vaibhav on that. And he's going to give us a mini tutorial and about Alteryx nuances and how can Alteryx be really useful to us and to you, everybody there. So taking no more time, I would stop there and let's jump into Vaibhav and say, hi Vaibhav, how are you doing today?
Hi Raghav, I'm doing good, and thank you for inviting me again. So it was a very interesting session last time, and you have come with new queries. So it's really exciting for me to share my inputs. And yes, thank you for appreciating the clearance of certification. So without any wasting more time, let's directly jump onto Alteryx, and let's begin with a small workflow to give a basic idea to our friends who are watching these videos so that they can build these workflows by themselves.
Absolutely.
So yeah, sure. Let me share my screen. Hopefully you will be able to see my Alteryx screen now. So many people who starts Alteryx get scared by seeing this screen. For them, it's just a simple and very easy tools like Excel. It is not difficult. It's just you need to memorize things. As you start working on the tool, you will get to use them. So you see few basic things are there. So first of all, we see this pane, which is called as workflow configuration. So here we can define what kind of canvas we want to use. We can configure how the workflow should be. So it should be either standard workflow, or we want to create any analytical app or macros. So we will talk about in the later videos, but just to give you a hint what we can configure here. Then there are few options at runtime, if we have defined any kind of memory settings, or if we have want to disable certain sets of tool, output tool consumes a lot of memory, so we can disable those kind of tools. Or if we want to disable that all the outputs, so all those kind of different configurations can be done here. For the events and meta info, we will talk about later. But this is what basic configurations we can do when we start building a workflow. So second thing is this workflow canvas here. So this is the area where we actually design our workflow, and whatever the configurations we write, whatever tools we define, whatever things we do, this is our playground. And just below it, this is what we call as the result window. So whatever the output, it may be an error or the desired output. So you will see that here in this particular section of the Alteryx. And now in starting what I was talking about. So so I talk about what is our playground, and these are our kits. So different sets of categorized tools which Alteryx has defined. So we call them as tool palette. So for input and output, we have tools like browse, date time, directory tools. We will learn about these tools later in the videos, but just to give you a hint, so these are different tool palettes for with different functions. So if you see, each tool palette has a different sets of colors. So input output has green. Then when we move to blue, so this is the preparation tool. So like data cleansing, if you want to rename, or you want to select few fields, or if you want to create unique sets of data records. So all those different tools you will find here. Similarly, we have transformations tools where we can do summarization, transpose, crosstab, etc. So we have so many palettes, and you, as you explore more, you will get more desire to learn these, because this is a very wonderful tool which helps you to minimize your errors in the data, as well as make them quality fit for your application. Now let's move on to one of the new basic workflows, that how we can start building workflows and what kind of transformations or things we can do. So we will start with a very basic example. So first of all, before starting, let me get you through the data set on which we will work. So here is a small Excel, if you can see. So this Excel contains the sales data of an organization, uh, which has three major regions, which are basically Eastern, East, West, and Central region. So on the base of different regions, they have different sets of sales representatives, and they are selling different sets of items. And we can see that how many units have been sold, what is the cost per unit, and what was the total amount that that organization earned. And we also have the date when this order was made. So these are the sales data for an organization. So this will be our input set on which we will be working, and what we are going to do while creating the workflow. So this will be our desired output. So what we are doing here is we are calculating on the basis of region, what are the different sets of items sold and what was the total amount spent on those items. So if you can see here, we have region, item, and the total cost. So for a central region, we have these six to six items which were sold, and this was the total output or the money generated out of them. Similarly for the eastern region and the west region. So let's start. So how you begin any kind of data transformation? So it usually begins with the input. So in Alteryx, as we talked before, we have an in-out palette. So in this in-out palette, there are different sets of tools. So first is directory tool. This tool is basically used when we have lots of files, but currently we have only one file. So I will go and use input data. So how will I use it? There is an easy way out also. So you can even simply drag and drop. So this is kind of red symbol you are seeing. This is because currently we are getting any error here, and the error is coming because we have not selected or given any input file here till now. So let's add that file. So I just clicked on this. So you see there is a kind of configurations here. So what are the record limits? If we want to see set any kind of record limit, how many records we want to pull from that particular file, and what will be the file format. So we are currently going to use the .xlsx file. So we will be changing to that. So how we select that? We click on this drop down arrow, and here we see lots of files. So here you can see what are the different recent connections I made to any file or any workflows or any database. So all those recent things will be shown here. So if you want to reutilize, then you can reutilize, but for now I will go directly to the file. So I will click on here files and select file, and this was the last read folder I had, and in this folder this file is there. So I selected this file and clicked on open. So it will ask me to which sheet I want to open. So it opened the it only shows that there is a sheet one. So I clicked on it. So this is the output that we were seeing. uh, you can see here. So currently this particular data set, what we are looking for is, this is our output that we want to achieve. Now to achieve this output, I need to drag the data uh, on which we want to work. So I again apply the same process. I go to the files, I go to select file, then it took me to that particular folder. I selected the sales data. It again will ask me for the sheets. So here you can see in this file, we have multiple sheet, but sales order is the sheet in which I have the data. So I will select that and click on OK. So now you see on the left hand side, here we can see the preview of the records in that particular file. So if I run this now, click on run. So I can see the results of that file here in this result window. So if I again click on the canvas, it will show what was happened last time. So whenever the any workflow was run, if nothing was run, so it will be blank as before. And to see the data, you have to click on the tool output anchor. So these are called anchors of the different tools. So some have multiple anchors, some have only one anchors. So it totally depends on the functionality of the tool. So now I have this sales data. So I want to achieve that based on the region, I should get the sales of different items uh, and like what was the total amount we are earning. So for that, I need to do some kind of transformation as we need to perform aggregations here based on the region and based on the item. We are calculating or the total sale that is happening for that particular product for that organization. So I will go to the transform palette. As I already working, I know that I need to use summarize, but as you will work on the tool, you will get to know which tool you have to use, because I am very familiarized with all those tools. I use them on daily basis. So it is very clear for me. Just drag and drop this tool. So I use this summarize tool here. So now when you see in the summarize tool, so it is different from the input tool. So in the input tool, you have the file name selection, you have the record limit, you have the extension, etc. But here you see different sets of configuration. There is a drop down above, select, and there is all the column names which we having in the Excel. So what summarization tool does is it helps you to perform different sets of aggregation or changes. So suppose you want to like there are two string fields which you want to concatenate. So you can concatenate them together with the help of this summarization tool. If you have any integer columns where you want to perform any kind of summation, you want to take medians, or you want to calculate mean values, etc. So those can be performed using this summation tool. So let's directly do. So our objective is to get the sales on the basis of region and the item. So region will be, I will be using I will select the region column, and then I will be selecting here group by. So this group by is similar to what we do in SQL. So we simply, when we want to get the unique records on the basis of any string column and want to summarize or anything. So we usually use group by with a clause like having clause. So here we will be using group by, and we need not to add any having clause. So it by default helps you out with other calculations. So we will see how it will do. So now I added region group by. So it added region here. Now again, I want to group by on the basis of item as well, because I want to basis of region, I want to see what items are sold and their cost. So again, I will select item, I will click on group by, and it will be shown here. So I wanted to see total amount of sales that have been done. Uh, so I will use this sum total, and instead of group by, this time I will do aggregation. So this is something what we do sum in SQL by here. So this is just summing up. So you see that it has created a new column of sum of total. So I can rename here. So this is the advantage. I can rename the columns here. So I will say total sales based on region. So I will just give it name. And now when I run this, so this output is looking like something what we were expecting or what we wanted to achieve. So you see, like if in Excel you will be performing this kind of functionality, so you need to do a lot of calculations there. You have to write an expression. You have to make sure that all the values are in a correct format. But here we just drag and drop two tools and it's ready. So this is what advantage Alteryx give you. So this is a very small example, but when you are handling a huge data warehouse or lots of data from the different sources, so heterogeneous sources, so it will be very difficult for you to aggregate those data sources together and get a combined output. But Alteryx can do it in a very simple and easy way. You can drag here hundreds of input data and connect to different data sources and convert, like do any sets of editing, and your output will be ready. So this is what Alteryx gives you the advantage to. So now we just created this simple output. I will just do some sets of customization to help you out. Like how can I make my data look much better? So if you see here right now, we have for most of the columns, two decimal places. And for some, like they are totally integer values. So if if I'm reporting to any kind of manager or any head of an organization, so this kind of formatting will not look good. So how can I improve that? So we have a lot of things here. So let's start with a select tool. So what is the functionality of select tool is, uh, select tool helps you to select different sets of columns you want to see in your output. So right now I does not selected added it here because I want to first show you what are the advantages of select tool. So first thing is I can rename all the columns. So first date is order date. So maybe I can say order date of the order, just for instance. Then we have the second column as region. So region of sales, I can rename it. So third column is rep. So it's just simply saying representative. So I can write as sales representative. And the fourth column is item. So I can write it as item sold. And the fifth column is units. So units sold. And unit cost. So I can say per unit cost. And the total sum, or I can say cost total. And this is how my data now looks. So you can see there is unknown check here. So what this means is, suppose I create this workflow and save it somewhere, and another day a person comes up and he added another column in the Excel, and unknowingly, like he just opened the workflow and he can see all those columns together now. So whatever the new column have been added in the Excel, so when you run this workflow, you will able to see those columns here. You need so you need not to manually add that. But if you remove this unknown check, so then those columns will not be added automatically. You have to select them in order to view them. So this is the functionality of the select tool. So now if I run my workflow again, so it will show me the columns with the newer names which I gave. So this now this behavior or this kind of reporting will create a good impact on the person who is observing it or reading it. So in the similar note, if I add the select tool after the aggregation tool here. So now you can see we have 3 columns. So I can again rename them: region of sales, item sold, and the sales cost, let's say here. Now, another problem that we were talking about is the format that these integer values were following. So this is not appropriate because we do not have any particular format, like every record has different sets of format they are following. So we want to bring it on the same scale. So what I will do is, like, I can see that there are decimal places in many fields. So I will bring in all the values to the decimal places. So there are multiple ways to do it, but right now we will do it simply by select tool. So what I will do is I will change the type of the total, like the sales cost, to fixed decimal. So I will, if you see here, when I selected fixed decimal, so it by default gave the size of 19.6. So what does it mean is, like, uh, 19 digits before the point value can be done, and 6 digits after the decimal value. But I do not need that much. I hardly have data with 3-4 digits before, and after that, like, we have uh, only 2 digits. So I will go with single digit here. So I will say, let's do it 4.3, sorry, 4.1. So what fixed decimal will do is it will create the uh, approximation based on the significant figures rule, and your decimal values, like suppose if it is greater than 5 after decimal, so your output will be increased by 1. So it will follow the rules of the significant figures. So if you see, now I run it again. Okay, so if we see in the error, what it says, does not fit in the fixed decimal 4.1. So it means that the size of the values which I am sending is not fixing in those. So I have to increase the size. So for now, I just increase it to, let's say I go back to 19, but later on, like if I want to make sure, like in the bigger workflows, to consume the memory consumption, because it's totally like if hundreds of workflows are running together, so memory then becomes a crucial factor, because otherwise your workflows will go slow down. So I will run it again. Now, if you see, this time I have the perfect data as I wanted. So every single digit is now in the single significant figures after decimal. So if it is integer, so it is 825.0 instead of just 825. So I have the same format. So this is how you can achieve different sets of data sets out of Alteryx. You have infinite numbers of tools, I would say, when you see on the screen, and you keep on working and enjoying. So as you go deeper, your interest and your like passion for making data more better will become high, and you will really enjoy the tool.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Vaibhav. This looks so good. We learned how the data needs to be connected to a data source. What kind of transformations we applied? We applied group by and sum, and we used a select tool to clean or make the make the data look good. So I
Yep.
think it's a very nice session.